What's up, guys? I just want to talk a little bit more about the Atlanta race. Just a few more points I wanted to make after watching a lot of what the community has talked about regarding this pack race that we saw at Atlanta. I'm not trying to convince people, right, to feel something they don't. If you like the race, you're free to like it. Congratulations. You're going to get more of it. There's going to be another race in July. But there's a few things I've noticed that I think is important to point out and kind of, for me, makes my point. Um, there's a lot of drivers who don't like the race, and some of them are not going to tell you that because NASCAR doesn't want them to speak out, but some of them still kind of let things out. Kyle Busch, somebody I do not like, but he's right. He's right when he tells you.
Hey, can you talk about what happened with the three, first of all, please?
It got loose.
This type of racing, is it making you more an entertainer than a driver?
Yep.
You like this version of Atlanta better than the old one?
Nope.
I got to give him credit. At least, I don't like the guy. I think he is a whiny crybaby, but he's being honest here. And for people who, I get it because he does whine a lot when he loses. But when they won the first race they ran with the Car of Tomorrow way back at that Bristol race years ago, Kyle Busch won the first Car of Tomorrow race at Bristol. And right after the race, he talked about how bad the car was. He didn't like the new car. And it made big news, but hey, he won the race. So, he was being honest about how he felt about the car back then. So, I get it that, he wrecked out and stuff, and a lot of times these guys who do wreck, they're pissed off and they're going to be negative. But that doesn't change the fact that this is what this race produces. And he's right. They asked him, "Is this? Are you more of an entertainer than a race car driver?" He said, "Yes." So people are openly admitting that this isn't real racing. So when I see people in the community even argue amongst themselves about what they consider real racing, sometimes people say, "Oh, you're not a real race fan if you didn't like this," and blah blah blah. Well, even people that support this type of racing admit that it's more entertainment because I've been seeing people's comments on Twitter, in YouTube comment sections, not just in my section, but other people that talk about this every week. Out of the groove with Eric Estep, Radman, I forgot this other guy I saw, but all of these people that cover this stuff and also give their opinions on it, who have been supportive of Baby Daytona for years, right? They've been promoting this stuff ever since that All Star race back in 2018. Even they kind of admit that this isn't the best thing in terms of, like, when people ask, do you want more of this? They're quick to tell you, we don't need more of this. This is enough. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind the fact that a lot of them are saying the same things when it comes to the race is too long. I'm not talking about the critics like myself. I'm talking about the people who support this race, who have gone out of their way to tell you how awesome this was and how great it is. They're the ones saying, I don't want more tracks doing this. This is enough. And the races are too long. I have to ask, if the race is so good, And this is so entertaining. Why do you think it's too long? Why don't you want more? It would seem to me that if something's really good, you want to see more of it, not less. The reason they're telling you the race is too long is because it is fucking boring. 90% of the race is meaningless. And every pack race is that way. Where you run early in the race, in the middle of the race, it really doesn't matter, because even a guy who starts all the way in the back with 10 laps left to go with one of these late cautions can win the race. We've seen people come from way in the back all the way to the front. Anybody can win. So 90% of all these boring conga line laps that you're sitting watching are meaningless. There's no point in racing to the front and trying to maintain a position up front. The people that are up front, the reason they fight for the lead is because that's the safest place to be at a pack race, because when there's a big wreck or even smaller wrecks, if you're anywhere behind the leader, you can get caught up in it through no fault of your own. You're in a blender. So that's why a lot of these guys fight to get to the front, because that's the safest place to be. Either all the way up front or all the way in the back. Anywhere in between, it's dangerous. You might get caught up in a wreck. So, 90% of these races are meaningless. That's why it doesn't matter. When these people tell you they need to make the race shorter, they're too long, you can chop off half the race. It's not going to matter. Does that sound like racing to you? Every other race, the entire race matters. Track position, getting up front, working your way up to the front. You don't. These pack races don't matter. It's the last couple of laps that decide everything. And if you survived the conga line and all the big wrecks, that's all it is. It's like, okay, who's left from this blender? Who still has a clean race car? And with a couple laps to go, it's anybody's game. Look at Ross Chastain. Someone else, by the way, who you had Kurt Busch finish. Where did he finish? Third? Top 5, right? Ross Chastain finished second. Both of them openly said after the race, I would like to see the next race, which is coming in July, by the way. I believe July. I would like to see NASCAR take off the restrictor plate. In other words, let us run the high horsepower package. Okay? Keep in mind, these aren't guys that, wrecked and ended up with a bad day. These are guys who finished up front. Big points day for these guys with a chance to win the race. And they're telling you they would like to see NASCAR use the high horsepower package in the next race. That doesn't sound to me like the drivers like this. Even the guys who finished strong, Ross Chastain, Kurt Busch, both said they want to see the high horsepower package. If this was so great, if this was something that they enjoyed or felt comfortable doing, they would have said this was great, I loved it, can't wait to come back. That's not what they told us. And I don't think every driver is going to be 100% honest, by the way. A lot of these drivers are biting their tongue. They don't want to admit that this is a shit show and that it's dangerous. Some of the wrecks that we've seen at this race, in fact, all weekend, are above the norm. Every racetrack is dangerous. I get it. That's part of the sport. But this is another whole level above. We've seen some wicked wrecks. And nobody seems to care. And it just looks to me, when you look at the community and they're telling you the race is too long, I'm talking about not critics like myself, the people who say and claim this was good are telling you the race is too long. They don't want to see more of this. They're telling you, okay, this is enough. What that tells me is that these people who are people who've been promoting this for years, by the way, this whole Baby Daytona thing, they've been promoting this. And I don't think they want to admit that something they took part in promoting so hard is a failure. So they're telling you stuff like, oh, it was great. Oh, it's entertainment, but who cares? They're telling you the ratings are great. Well, the ratings have been good all year. So let's not act like the ratings were as bad as they've been in the past couple of years, and then all of a sudden, for this race, it was all, boosted. The ratings have been up all across the board all year. And I believe most of it is due to this new car. People are interested in seeing how this thing performs at each track. Also, yeah, this new reconfiguration was a big deal because even me, as much as I hate pack racing, I was curious to see what would happen. I paid attention. I didn't, and not surprisingly, I didn't like it, but I was interested in seeing what would happen just out of curiosity. You got a brand new racetrack, brand new amenities, and you're shocked that people pack the stands. This is not an indicator of pack racing. This is an indicator that interest in NASCAR racing across the board is up. Plus the fact that we've had great races this year. Most of the racing has been really good. With this new car, it's generating excitement. So yes, ratings are going to go up and interest in this particular track is going to go up. People are going to show up and watch the race. This is something that you have to revisit years from now. If 3, 4, 5 years down the line, people are still packing Atlanta and raving about this garbage, then hey, you can make a case and say, well, this is why. But don't tell me, don't brag about ratings and the stands and the people in the stand. Plus, remember, we just went through 2 years of COVID, which we're still in, but people are dying to get out and do things. What's the biggest event happening in the Atlanta area that was happening this week? This new configuration. So, are you really that shocked that you had a big showing of fans at the track and ratings? That's not surprising to me at all. It doesn't mean that people are dying for pack racing. It just means that interest in NASCAR overall is up, which is a good thing. I want to see that. I'm happy about that. But don't tell me it's because of this. So yeah, that's what I've been noticing. All these people, they're telling you it's great, but they want shorter races and they don't want to see more tracks do this. Those things are in direct opposition to somebody saying this product is great. If something's great, I want more, not less. So what I believe is a lot of these people just don't want to come out and admit, hey, this thing that I've been promoting the shit out of for years, it's really a disaster and I was wrong. This was a mistake. They don't want to admit it. They want to believe so bad that this thing was going to be so awesome that they're going to tell you it's great. This is why Fox Sports, the whole broadcast, all they did was keep telling you how awesome this was and telling you, oh, that's the other thing everybody's talking about, all the lead changes. Oh, look how many lead changes. Every pack race has countless lead changes. If you don't actually read a stat sheet to somebody, they're not going to know how many passes happen through the race. Because this is what you have at a pack race: the outside line, the inside line. All day, this is what's going on. All right? Two conga lines doing this. If you look at uh, the box that you see all the drivers and what position they're in when you're watching the NASCAR race, all you see are names going like this all day because you got two conga lines doing this. So there's constantly people passing each other, getting passed by the same people. There's so much passing that doesn't tell you the full story. That doesn't mean that you can read to me at a stat sheet, look, you had 10 times as many passes here this week than you did at Phoenix. That doesn't mean anything. That's this. So that's another thing that people are using to try to convince you that this was the greatest thing ever. Again, if you enjoyed it, great. I know it sounds like I'm trying to twist arms. I'm not. In fact, I'm conceding that the people that feel like me are way smaller in group than the people that claim they liked it. So this isn't even a debate, right? It's not even close. Most people seem to claim seem to say they loved it. But my point is, look at all the things I'm pointing out and ask yourself, how do these things make sense? You're telling me this is the so awesome. Somebody even in my last video said that I was crazy, that I'm the worst uh, commenter on YouTube, which is fine. That's your opinion, and that honestly does not bother me. I could take that, and laugh about it. That doesn't bother me. But then to go on and say that I don't know what I'm talking about when I claim that Auto Club was the best race we've had so far this year, that this was way better. Now I gotta wonder, it's like, now you're out of your fucking mind. I know it's an opinion, but come on. So, these are red flags. These are red flags. If this is such a great race, why do you think it's so long? Because you were bored. Because you realize that you're sitting there watching a conga line all day and it's really not what's happening. When you just take out all the big wrecks, it's boring. But you're still trying to convince yourself, you're trying to convince everybody else that this was the most awesome thing. Sorry, I see red flags there. So you want the races to be shorter and you don't want more of this. This is so fucking great, but you don't want more of this? You would think everybody would say, take every mile and a half track and do the same. Because this was the most awesome thing ever. I want more of this. That's not what they're doing. Now you got six plate races, pack racing tracks on the schedule. Congratulations. I don't know, man. I don't know about the future of this sport and where it's headed, but as you could see, Kyle Busch, um, that face that you're looking at, that's how I feel. And I don't like agreeing with Kyle Busch on much of anything, but he's right. And a lot of drivers are saying, hey, take off the restrictor plate. Why are they saying that if this was so awesome? And these are guys that finished up front, had a chance to win, ended up with a top 5. These are people that know how to race on these tracks, on a pack track. And they're telling you, how about we try unrestricted next time? So that's pretty much it. Um, I just find it hilarious when I see people telling you how awesome this was, but at the same time telling you things that make you think, well, that doesn't make sense. You want the race shorter. It was too long. That to me, when somebody says that, it says to me, oh, you were bored. I don't know. I don't know. Um, and if all you care about is spectacle and entertainment, and you don't care if people, this is why people don't respect NASCAR as a sport. Imagine trying to explain to them, watching this race, how this is a sport. And keep in mind, they never once had a green flag pit stop. I wanted to see what would happen at this track being much smaller than Daytona. What would happen under green flag conditions? Because you know that at a pack race, these cars have to pit in large groups because you want to stay in a pack. You don't want to pit by yourself and exit by yourself, and you're going to get swallowed up by the pack. So imagine large groups of cars trying to pit at the same time at a much smaller track with a much smaller pit entrance. You already saw a lot of pit road incidents under caution. What do you think would happen under green? That was going to be a shit show. And it never happened because there were so many wrecks and so many cautions that we never got to see a green flag pit stop. But people are telling you how awesome this is. Doesn't make sense to me. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm sure that plenty of you will probably disagree with my thoughts and you'll come up with excuses, but you want less. You want the races are too long. You don't want this at more tracks, but it was awesome. It was great. It doesn't make sense to me hearing that. Maybe it makes sense to you. Anyhow, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, this is not going away. It's done. So these are just my thoughts. Um, I don't know. And then people are also still telling you that, oh, Atlanta was always a horrible track. These people don't. They have a short memory because what they're thinking about are the past several years, right? After NASCAR pushed for the the lower horsepower, higher downforce package that we've seen since 2018, which has ruined most of the races. That's what they're thinking of. If you go back before that, we have had historic races here that were good, but people have such short attention spans, and once these cars do spread out, people are like, "There's nothing happening. I need to see these cars bunched up all day just to keep my attention span, fed." So I don't know what else to say, man. But it's hilarious because I've been watching, I've been reading the comments, I went on Twitter, and it's ridiculous how often you see people tell you it was great, but it's too long. It needs to be shorter. We don't need more of these races. This is enough. But it was great. Oh, and the ratings and and all this other shit. While just ignoring the reality of why everything is the way it is. Not, it doesn't make sense to me. So those are my thoughts. And yeah, I look forward to your comments as always. Later.